Hello, 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 and welcome back to Ascension TV Online. It's so good to have you with us again. And I am so excited and blessed and happy to have Aureya Magdalene on with me today. We've been talking about this for a few weeks, and I am just really so honored that Aureya has offered to come today and talk to us. Firstly, about a little bit about the book that we're in and the offerings that she has within her chapter, and that's coming out next week. And then we're going to be talking about relationship cords, and these are energy cords that most of us have in our life, and what they do, what happens about that. Okay, so Aureya is an incredibly experienced intuitive, and she works with practitioners, helping them. But I'm not going to tell you what she does. I'm going to hand over and say, Aureya, tell me what you do. Tell me what you're like, what has led you to do what you do, and what is it you do in the world.
Aw, thank you so much, Caroline.
You're
I am
welcome.
so grateful also for this opportunity and just to know you because you're magic. So I started out kind of regular healer, energy worker, before that, licensed psychotherapist. And I got to a place in my life where I really just asked, what do I really want to do? And it was, I wanted to teach people who are, up and coming light workers, the
Okay.
skills that had come through me because I think I've been a light worker for eons and past lives and on other planets. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to teach. And so I developed the school called Magdalene University. At the
Amazing.
beginning, I did it 10 people at a time. And right now I'm doing it as a personal study, just me and you. And just 10 sessions. And it's basically a combo of a self enlightenment process, going through the chakras, really learning the skills of getting present and self loving and letting the light work in us. And then also teaching intuitive, psychic, clairaudient, um, energy work, sound healing if people want that. And letting them practice on me. So it's fun. It's a fun
Beautiful.
class.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to join. Where do we sign up? And actually, if we did want to sign up and check out you, where do we find you on the internet, Aureya?
Yeah, the easiest always, I think, is just text me. I'll just give my phone number right now. It's 415-606-2677, and that is in California, USA. So,
Okay.
yeah, or you might have my info somewhere, but you can also just look up Magdalene without an E on the end, magdaleneuniversity.com, and there I am.
Amazing. And I'll put those details in the comments below,
Yeah.
Aureya. Thank you. Great. Great.
Let me say also that I do still have a private practice, and usually what we do is people tell me what's going on, what they want, and then I do, a little bit of counseling. And then I channel basically from my own self, my own guides. I have groups of guides that I work with, some ETs on spaceships, really out there. But I'm an amazing channel. I can kind of channel anyone. I can channel, the people who have passed on, any avatars, So I love that. And basically, they do energy work and healing as well as, answer questions, give overviews on your work or relationships. And so that's what I do. I channel, and people get very strong upgrades.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And as you're saying that, it's funny because I received a message some years ago. I was living in Portugal at the time, and I was like, what is going on with my business? I'm a trained coach and I absolutely love coaching. The coaching that I do is not strategy, it's more inner coaching. It's like spiritual coaching, really, and deep healing. But the message I got was I need to do more channeling because and I had Katumi appear when I was writing a good book called Breaking Out Bipolar. And it's like, no, you got to scrap that old paradigm. You need to, like, you're here to do kind of spiritual work. And so, then I went on to do training and this, but I still have this thing about this coaching modality, and I know it works. Like, I've used it so many times with clients and everything, but I also feel that there's always an element of channeling. So and if you're listening to this and your ears are pricking up, it might be something that's on the cards for you. But I didn't think that years ago. And we walk through these doors, they're like little initiations, aren't they? You learn something and then you kind of set into a next place and you think, oh, there's a next level. So I really get you. And pretty much all the courses that I'm writing and things like that, it comes through with channels, it really does. So, and I think for a long time, I didn't realize that's what I was doing as well. I was in a kind of altered state, and people are like, thanks, I really needed to hear that. And I'm like, no problem. And I didn't realize that, I was basically channeling, right? So, yeah, interesting to hear that, Aureya. Thank you. I'm so interested in your work. I could listen for hours. Um, so just briefly, we were going to talk about the book, because in just a few days' time, Aureya and I met through Angela Aurora Medway Smith and the Magdalene Oracle, okay, which is now out. You can get it on Amazon. You can probably get it from Aureya in person if you're near her in the US, and you can certainly get it from me as well. I have copies. You can get signed copies if you buy them from us. But the next book we're in is the Intuitives Oracle, and that's out on the 11th of the 11th. Really powerful, numerological, like energetical portal there. And so you were going to tell us a little bit about the work that you're sharing in there and the practices that you're sharing in there, Aureya.
Yes. And first, I just want to give a plug for the book. Anyone who's looking to come stronger into their intuitive abilities, there's many of us offering practices
Yeah.
to strengthen your channel. So yeah, I'm going to just say something brief about it, and it is in my chapter, which is chapter 2, uh, that the main three energies of getting psychic, which most people want, is the spirit energy, really getting a personal relationship with spirit, whether that's your own higher self or guides or an avatar of some type,
Mhm.
but to really feel it in your heart, to learn to receive that light.
Mm.
Also similar from the bottom up, to get a relationship with the earth, with your agreement to be here, with the beings. I always think it's a twin soul that holds a planet, the beings
Beautiful.
that hold the earth, and to really pray to have more love and light and receptivity,
Mm.
up through your system. And in an activated system, those lower chakras are wide. They get really full and
Yeah.
they loop with each other. First and second, the chakras work in pairs, first and second, third, and the heart. And that gets all beautiful and grounded, and you feel very safe and alive and present. And then the heart really activates. And then when the heart can hold that feeling of true acceptance for everything, the bad, the good, all,
Mm.
then we can see everything.
Yeah.
So the heart, I have a meditation called Chalice Meditation that's about connecting the personal heart and the sacred heart with the throat, third eye, and
Mm.
above, to feel the loving presence as you channel. Because some people, like me, who are more mental, when they first start channeling, their personal self and heart are not there. It's very dry, it's kind of automaton. And my clients and friends used to say, Aureya, wait, stop. I can't feel you. Where did you go?
Yeah.
Right? And so
Yeah.
now, there's got to be, presence, right? Love. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we need the ground, we need the sky, the spirit. We need the third thing is we need, we could call it the silence. Um, because when you go in there, and I'll lead a little 2 minute exercise to do this. When
Mhm.
you go in there, there's a masculine third eye option, and there's a feminine. The masculine is like an architect or a painter who sees something and then they project it out into the world. And
Mm,
people who have a lot of masculine really need to learn what it feels like to take things in and stay in the quiet. And
mm.
then once we're there, we can ask questions. So let's do it really quickly. So
Amazing. Get comfortable. Make sure you're not going to be disturbed, and don't be doing this when you're driving. You might be listening, but please pull over if you want to join in with the little exercise, and
yeah.
we can
And
really.
then I'll do an exercise on the relationship chords in whatever 20 minutes after we talk about it. Okay, so this one is the palate point, which is the roof of the mouth. So you can put the tip of your
Mm,
tongue up on the roof of your mouth, and there's a place where the hard palate gets softer, and where it dips up, it's about as far back as the tongue will go comfortably. And
mhm.
you just want to take 3 breaths into that spot and kind of light it up. Make a little star or a little flame there. Yes. And you'll notice that the top of the head starts to open too, and the light comes in to support that whole channel through the head, sometimes called the cave of Brahman. And it is that channel that we use to channel for other people. And excuse my puppy barking in the background. um, okay, so we are going into that stillness, and you really want to make sure your whole body's there. You still have feet, you have a belly, you have your heart, and you have deepening, and then just allow things to expand, but stay there. That's it. That's it. So then, if you were to ask yourself a question right now, I usually start with having people choose a chakra and breathing the energy from that chakra, which you can do right now if you want. You just breathe the energy as if you can just pull some light from that chakra into that palate point, into the third eye. And again, you don't need to effort. Your intention will always be enough. And then once you get the energy from anything that you're trying to look at, then as a translator, to get something from your third eye into your mind, you just need to ask questions and you'll get good at it. So the main questions we ask at the beginning is there a symbol or an image?
Mm.
And then you take whatever you get. Next question, what is the meaning of this for me at this time? Another way to ask that is what am I learning right now?
Mm.
Mm. And then the other 2 questions that are just such good ones is, what can I do in a practical everyday way to move myself along in these lessons toward my wholeness? What can I do? And breathe with that, and you can imagine yourself doing that. So it kind of starts now.
Mm.
And then last question is, who will I be, when for our purposes, this chakra is in its majesty and wholeness and highest function? What will I feel like? What will I look like? How will it feel to be me? And then you just want to breathe that back into the chakra you're working with, or if you're not working with chakras, I usually say breathe it into your heart. So your heart recognizes who you really are.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, so I have those handouts at the uh, back of my chapter, my story, which is on seeing dragons, by the way. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Or
Oh,
you,
amazing.
anybody can text me for my materials that I know that I offer because they're always free. That's what they're for, to
Yeah.
help you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because my chapter's chapter 5 about direct revelation, and really it's a very similar practice. It may be like slightly less structured, because when I was younger, and we talked about this on the interview actually, because Aureya and I were on the author interview with Angela and Kieran and Savante, weren't we? And that art, that asking questions and receiving information was something that I would have on and off. We're like radios, right? So I wasn't always tuned in, but if I was very in alignment and I was feeling God, presence, I would think, oh, I would make a question, like a prayer, and I would get downloads of information. So I was working through the questions, and it's funny because even when writing the Magdalene Oracle, actually, I'd kind of stepped out of alignment, and I hadn't been asking those questions in the same way. And writing the chapter made me like go, oh, whoopsie, I've stopped doing it, because I must have done it so much, and I, asked for different projects, or what am I doing, what is something I can offer the world, and I'd get all these projects and being really busy, but not always checking in, because we can do this work with something huge or something really small. Like I've done it like going, I don't know what to have, I don't know what to eat. Like I don't, I know maybe I need some food, but I don't know. And I'll literally get a recipe download, and it feels like, oh God, I didn't even think, I've never made that or something, and that can really help. And that's Savante's world, isn't it? Using your body and your intuition to help support your eating, And on this last weekend, okay, so I was doing your questions just then, and I got heart. The first time it was a triangle when we did the exercise and the interview, and I got a heart. And I actually asked, why do I feel so sad at the moment? Because I feel like I feel so blessed in my life. I have so many amazing people, so many amazing projects that I'm doing, but actually I have a lot of sadness. But I just lost somebody, a family member passed over recently, and the learning was that even that I know, I've always known of the other realm. I've always thought, why are people getting so upset? Like they're there, they didn't die. But now I really can feel that because she's not on the physical plane, and that is different. We know that I see her face a lot. I think she's around me a lot. I've had some messages, but it's still not the same, So that shift in, and we can be in grief, whether it's a person leaving this physical form or leaving town, or even, and that's another knowing that I got, was there's a lot of shifts in how I am in the world, yeah, how I show up in the world, so that I can do all the work that I feel like you, a light worker, is here to do. I have to be actually really quite independent, and I'm not used, part of me is not used to it. So there's a part of me like finding a rub there. So anyway, just goes to show, to our audience that, it can be something really profound, like the heartache that you're questioning about. And some people say, like, you can't think about heartache, but actually it softens the sensation when you're like, oh, of course, because sometimes we do, well, I know, I shouldn't feel like this, or la 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 la. And actually having those inner wisdoms, that direct revelation coming to you, it can really help us understand ourselves and the nature of our being, or the quandary we're in. And it doesn't matter whether it's a big thing or a small thing. So yeah, it's amazing. Thank you. And I can already feel the energy moving. There's a softening, and it's like it's okay to feel that, rather than, oh, I shouldn't feel that. And it's part of the texture of our journey. So yeah, thank you so much, Aureya. Really.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess that moves us nicely on. We're talking about relationships onto the subject that we said we talk about today, and relationship cords. And people might call these energy cords as well, cords, connections, ties. And I think it's one of the first things a lot of people know. They call in Archangel Michael and they will cut the cords with people. But maybe you might have heard it, but maybe you don't quite know what's happening, what's going on with that. So I'm going to hand over to you again, Aureya. Tell me about these relationship cords and how you see them, and what they're there for and why they occur.
Good. Happy to do that. And I do have handouts and recordings specifically on it if anybody wants to dive in or teach themselves, teach others.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so relationship cords are basically a teaching structure between one person and another.
Mm,
And it looks like a stream of light, but it's literally a cord that light goes through.
mm,
And it's always a mutual agreement. You
mhm.
know, we are in the era of codependence and victimization, and people tend to think that, somebody's doing something to me. That's the last part of the ego until we get it that everything is a contract that we agreed to.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Ulrich. I just wanted to pause and jump in there because I see this a lot, and people like really punishing on each other. Like, that's a really unhealthy relationship. And why doesn't this person? It's like, you don't know what contract and learning that is. And I know, having had a very, what looked like toxic relationship and was a bit of a surprise, it's like, God, and I did the work. I asked the questions and I would get all these understandings about what we were healing. So, thank you. Because if you're in one of those challenging relationships, don't just think, oh, I'm being codependent, I better stop. Look what you're learning, isn't it? So,
That's
yeah,
it.
thank you so much, Aurelia. Sorry, carry on. I just wanted to jump on there because to me, there's so many memes like, don't do this, don't do this, sack off the narcissist in your life. And it's like, yeah, but what are the lessons happening? Because it's still a person, it's still a soul, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, carry on. Yeah, got
Okay.
a lot of
Well,
energy.
it's something to get excited about because actually our entire uh, human evolution is moving out of relationship cords and into sovereignty, where you receive what you need from spirit and yourself and the earth, and it's all an inside job, which it really is anyway. But anyway, so cords are completing, and anyone who's going through enlightenment will have a period where they have to finish all the relationships
Yes.
and go inward, and then they feel isolated for a while until they really get in the work, and then they go into unity and they feel close to everyone. So okay,
Whoa.
so it's a teaching structure.
Yeah.
If you are the giver, then the energy will go from your right side or dominant side. If you're left hand dominant, it'll go out through your left side, but for most people you're giving on the right side,
Mm,
and cords where you're receiving energy into your chakras will come in on the left,
right.
and they will usually have a trajectory, which I'll describe, and then they will go into an intermittent phase, meaning they're not connected all the time. It's on and off. And
Mm,
when that happens, the cord goes into the back of that chakra. Okay, so um, the trajectory of this learning agreement is that at the beginning, when it hooks up, the giver feels like, oh, I've just learned this. I want to test this out, that I know this, and I really want to give this to someone else. So they're excited. And the receiver feels like, oh, here's a chakra that I have felt wobbly in, even if I wasn't conscious of it. And I really needed a reminder. I've been praying for a reminder of what this would feel like if it
mm,
was,
mm.
activated. And so both people are like in heaven. They feel more whole and more
Yeah.
awake. And then the trajectory moves on. And both people ultimately want to do it all themselves.
Yeah.
They want to come back and feel empowered. And so then becomes the push and pull period. And
Yeah. Uh,
we tend to think of this beginning chord as love. So when we're getting pushed away or we're pushing and saying, I just need space, we don't, um, both people go into a not love crisis of like, oh, I feel rejected, or did they ever really love me, or did I ever really love them? And
mm,
so there's the push and pull period. And
mm,
then both people finally are really strengthening. And then they want some space away from that person. Usually 3 weeks will do it, but sometimes it's 3 months, so that you don't hook the cord back up. And
mm.
you really want to have a period of feeling like autonomy, sovereignty. I have my
Oh,
own agency to do this my way.
yeah.
So, yeah. So when you're on the cord, it feels more kind of people say the word stuck, or I feel like a duty. I feel responsible for. Um, I feel burdened. And yeah. So the way that you complete a chord is that you talk inwardly. I'll guide you guys through this in a minute after we just have some, questions about it. But the, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. When we know that we are ready to complete the chord, we start talking to the person inwardly. And this is the basic thing that we say, is that bless you and thank you for being in this learning agreement with me, because thank you completes karma. So always thank you. And then you return to yourself and thank yourself for going through whatever has been so difficult. And then I'm just aware that Carolyn Mary is not on the screen, so I'm just pausing a little bit. But and then you say, it's my time to go into my own enlightenment. And so I need to complete this agreement with you. And then there are some great ways to uh, send light and consciousness into the cord, and um, sparkle it up, get it more conscious. And there's a chant. It's called Hum Ah Om. And you sound that into the agreement, and it helps again raise consciousness. And then there's something called what I call the squeegee, which is you take all the light that's in that cord and you drop it into the channel of that other person 3 times. And what that does is it helps them start to get more conscious and think about what are they learning in this agreement.
Oh, Aureya, this is so amazing. And I just wondered if we could pause for a moment because I am having so many like little downloads and ahas right now. And I'm wondering if you as viewers are also seeing this, like, oh, that's what's going on in this relationship, this relationship, this relationship. Because, if we just think about the exercise we just did, I had the heart, and this makes so much sense for me because in my life, like as soon as I could think, I knew I was a soul and I knew I'd had other lives. I felt like a boy sometimes and a girl, and I was like, this is from past lives. I felt like I knew what it was like to be a man and a woman and a this and a this. So I always felt quite independent, but obviously as a human, you kind of think, well, what's wrong with me? But I had this feeling when people would say to me, oh, you're my really good friend. I'm like, no, but like everyone's my really good friend because I would treat everyone the same. If somebody wanted something from me, okay, yeah, I'll help you. You want something? Yeah, I'll help you. And I have found that really challenging to navigate because obviously people come into our life and there is that really close connection. And this the person that passed away, she came into our life and she brought love. Like, she was love. I'd never been told I was loved. I'd never had somebody, just like an adult in my family, say I love you so much. That just didn't happen in our family, and she would just tell us all the time. So there was so much, we were all like, oh, she just brought this love. But obviously that transitions, right? She lives like miles away from me, and as a family we just didn't see her that often. It just didn't, it hadn't happen. And when she passed, that's the grief. It was because she was the first person that told me again and again and again, every time we connected, she'd say, I love you so much. And I'm not used to hearing that. I knew that we were of God and that there's this universal love, but to have it so when you're talking about the chords, I can really see the transition where I wanted more of it, but as a soul, it wasn't that. There's not one person that is that for anybody. We're when we step into that sovereignty, it's God that gives. We draw it in, we have it, we're surrounded. We might have guides as well. Like, I've spent years on and off just talking to guides in the woods or talking to the trees and not needing humans really, but being there. So anyway, I could go on with the revelations that I were getting, but I just really felt like to share an example of what that might look like. Because when she passed, I went into like a lot of guilt because I hadn't seen her for a few years, but I could see her smiling, like, doesn't matter, just doesn't matter, I don't mind, I know you're busy. She didn't see me in that same way. Yeah, so it's yeah, amazing. So if you want to share, I love a comment. So do share if you feel like you'd like to share something, because for me, it feels so, it takes a weight off, doesn't it? When we remember that a lot of these are learning contracts. It could, you might know this as soul contracts. It's not about right or wrong. It's just, what did I learn from this person? And how do I move on? How do we as sovereign beings move on? And she's moved on, she's moved on to spirit. Good for her. So, yeah. Oh, Aureya, thank you. Thank you. I love that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, since you're feeling the gratitude, I just want to say that gratitude completes karma. And so, when we're about to address a chord that we have taken on, the,
Mm,
the first thing that's makes the most sense is that you talk to the being inwardly and you say to them, we made this contract. Most of us had cords with our parents. So think of your parent right now.
mm,
We made this contract. We both got something out of it. Thank you for, being willing to have this, exchange.
mm,
And now it's my time to go into my enlightenment, which means that I'm needing to complete all of my cords and
mm,
really draw all of my energy that's out on these cords
mm,
back into my own chakras and to know who I am. And so another being that's listening to you will respect that you need to complete now. It's your time to finish that agreement.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, we couldn't have timed this better, okay? Because I'm just thinking of some of the people in my life. And I know over the last few years, pretty much all I've done is meditate, do my inner work, write, formulate things that I even yet to come out in the world, and just sit, really sit with myself, be in nature, also spend time with my partner. And it's felt really like, is there something wrong with me? And on one level, I've known, like, I do check in, this feels the most authentic choice. This is the most authentic choice. But it's not, because it doesn't look like everyone else looks, you start to doubt yourself and you think, And I was just thinking with my dad. So I did a lot of work around my dad and the relationship I've had with him. And what I had received the message, the contract actually finished when we were 16 and he left. So actually, and it felt it on one level because I've often had that higher viewpoint, but then the human is like, yeah, yeah. So it really felt like, whoa, oh God, I can just literally let him go. And if you meet as two sovereign beings, that is different, isn't it? Because there's a genuine wish to connect, but it's not this push pull hard or challenging, like questing or feeling like there's something angsty around it. It's just a genuine arising and a genuine back to sovereignty. And I think he's quite good at it. And I think a lot of people in the family are like, he's so selfish. And it's like, maybe he's just really enlightened and he just walked his path, and he's not
Ah,
being mean. He's just in his truth and in his authenticity. He's not consciously spiritual at all, but he does just cut his path. And I can, without the child energy, I can really respect that in him. So yeah, amazing. And if you're listening again, this might be resonating with you, right? So yeah, amazing. Thank you, Aureya. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
so shall we? I'll just guide people through a little look
Yeah,
at
let's
a chord. Yeah.
do it.
Okay.
And
So
I'm just going to say before we do that again, sorry, Aureya, for just be careful, guys. If you want to do this, like it's really deep work, it's amazing, but don't be driving. Make sure you're in a good place. If you need to like tell people in your home that you're going to do this, just pop the video on pause and go and just get yourself in that place, because this work is so beautiful and it's not serious, it's not harmful in any way. But I just wanted to say, if you're going to do it, let's get the most out of it, yeah, and just get yourself comfortable, get yourself in a place where you can relax, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so sorry, Aureya, I just
Oh, no, it's
I,
very, very helpful. Thank you for saying that.
get
Okay, so first of all, think of someone that you have some type of, you know, strong connection with, that you think about a lot. You think about what's going on with you. And, don't pick someone that it's so traumatic that you're not going to be able to keep your attention, but just somebody that you know that you have some type of a deep agreement with,
Mm,
and start to feel what that energy is between you, how it feels to you. And as you're feeling the energy between the two of you, look and see where it's affecting you in your body.
mm,
So it might come in more at the belly, emotional body. It might come in at your heart, might come in your throat chakra, like a demand to listen to someone. Good. And so once you get a little feeling for it, and if you don't get anything, just breathe and go on to the next question. Ask yourself, with this person in this contract, am I the giver? Am I giving to them? Yes or no? Or am
mm,
I receiving from them? Yes or no?
mm,
And sometimes it's harder to look at the other person, but you can ask, where does this cord go to in their body?
mm, mm. Yeah.
And now, what are you learning? What are you learning?
Mm,
Hmm? And it's fun to start to look at the trajectory, like, how much longer do I need? You know, or on a 1 to 10, with 10 being I'm done, you know, how much of the learning have I done? Good. And then to be really honest with yourself, am I ready to release this cord? Am I complete with my learning?
mm,
And if not, what can I do within my own energy system to strengthen and grow and feel more whole? And again, breathe that in. Feel yourself as that strength because it's there somewhere in you already. Good. So now I'll go into the actual clearing of the cord. But do you have any question first?
Um, I when I was doing it, I was using a family member, as an example, and I felt there was the heart and the solar plexus, and it felt like but it was both. So was it? And when it was giving, am I giving and receiving? What I felt was, yes, I give, but also I receive, and that's where the almost we have the mirror. And this person has said to me, I feel like sometimes we're like a mirror for each other. We've got to keep learning stuff. And it's like, yup. And just talking about it ourselves, it's not unhooking it, it's like coming back. So would that be possible? So what I was seeing is it was like we give from the heart, but actually it's because we're one part of us is taking, it's like power, not on purpose and not really nastily, but like there's like a need of finding our own power. So it's like what people would say, isn't it? It's slightly codependent. It's like if I love on you, this is how it's looked like years ago, and I've stopped it. I've seen it and stopped it. But like, oh, I'm going to give you loads of love, but I hope you can give me power and actually stability and safety. And I've seen that happen with a lot of men. And I've gone, oh, and I was asking myself, am I ready for that? It's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I know how to be a proper grown up, right? There's part of me. But is it possible that there is that giving and taking, and that could be both?
Yes, most likely
Yeah.
you're giving um, from one chakra to their
Yeah.
chakra, and
Yeah.
then somewhere else, usually you're receiving. So from what you're saying,
Yeah.
it sounds like maybe they gave to you in your emotional body because you mentioned, safety and,
Yeah.
feeling cared for.
Yeah.
And then maybe you gave to them and from your third chakra, which is more of a directing, helping people think and plan and do things more clearly.
Yeah. But what I'm seeing is, without going into laborious details, is that both of us have like wanted something. We've both given an amount, and as I said, I kind of stopped and I was like, oh, I'm it because it looks it for me it felt like the people pleasing, right? And I didn't know it for years. I was just like, I'm just really kind, I care for people, and it was like, no, this is really disempowering. It's not coming from a sovereign place. But it's almost like one part is going, oh, like we want that love because we want love, but I also want to know that I'm okay, and I want you to empower me. And I have seen that both of us have done the similar thing, and it's like it's just like it's not going to work. We've obviously, it's coming back into our sovereignty, and it feels like it's exactly the same lesson, for both of us. And
Absolutely.
for sure it feels like we have gone like I just like at the minute I'm like I'm done, like I just need to never have that dynamic because it just feels so old, it just feels very like young and not necessarily anymore, but you have to grow that part in yourself. So yeah, there were from 10 being like really strong and not even knowing that pattern is there, it felt like a 2. It's like, okay, it's just a whisper, but there's still a bit of work to do. So does that sound right as a kind of
Absolutely.
on the inner world?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling some of those, similarities, then you're on the right track, is the point. And happy to have shared and also received that wisdom, because you kind of sometimes, if you're not sure and you don't trust that knowing in yourself, you can really feel like you're going a bit insane because you're like, why am I playing out this thing? Or why am I avoiding this person? Because we know we care on the deepest level. We are good people. We care for each other. We'd be there if we need each other. But these, it's like we just got to stop that. So yeah, that makes so much sense, Aureya. Thank you. I hope that.
That was a fabulous description of how it all feels. You know, like
Yeah,
it feels so good at the beginning, and then it starts to feel not that good, and then at some place it feels like absolutely done. No, 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 no more.
yeah, yeah,
And there's love and there's gratitude, but there isn't the clinging. There isn't like, could you just do that one more time? It's like, I really want to be on my own.
Yeah. And I think I really want to go back to when we were saying about before. And for me, I've seen so many memes, and it's like really harsh on people. You know, everyone's like an armchair psychologist, myself included. And it took me to have my very challenging relationship, and I was praying like a mofo, you know, all the time. Like, what do I need to know about this? What do I need to know about this? And people would, you know, somebody was saying to me like, why doesn't this person just sort this out? And I got this vision about our healing journey being like peas in a tube. If you can think of like a pea shooter, this is the vision I got. And literally, you cannot get to the next lesson behind. You have to just deal with the one. And so, even though when we're looking at other people or a dynamic or a family group or whatever it is, it's like we can sit there, well, I wouldn't do that. Actually, so what? It doesn't, it's nothing to do with you. You have to let people live their own experience, have their own journey. And I remember literally seeing it and relaying it, and they were just like, oh, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. Great, you've got this insight. Like you were saying about the channeling without heart, love, and compassion, it's nothing. You're just being rude, and really, you're just being blunt to somebody. And you know, I've had a few kickbacks with that, and it really helped me though, that challenging relationship, because we had obviously had so many chords. You know, we decided to come in, and actually one of our co-authors in the Oracle series, Ben Zachary Shaw, he really helped me, because I kind of have known that, but you have to have somebody telling you, no, 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 it's true. Because a lot of other people just say, oh, you're being a fool, you shouldn't have done that. And it's like, it's not about shouldn't or shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's about, we chose to like knock strips off each other, do some deep work, do some learning, close some doors. And yeah, I have, yeah, no, there's no angst with that guy, because it's just like we just learn a lot. And underneath there was always love. Like I remember him driving me to get my lift back from Portugal, you know, and it's fine, you know, it's just there was just love left, even though we were just in chaos. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to bring that in again, because it's so easy in this day and age, especially because we've got TV and we've got people and on Facebook, and people are airing their laundry. It can be really easy to get in there and think blah blah blah. You just got to let people do their life, isn't it, really? And yeah.
Yeah, my spiritual teacher gave a great example. As he said, you know, don't ever judge what you see because you can't know. And he gave the example of someone who'd been alcoholic for lifetimes and lifetimes and just could not kick it. And
Yeah,
so they decided to have to basically drink themselves in to death.
yeah,
And to because it was the only way they saw, you know, to have it be so horrible to finally finish it. And
yeah,
that he said, you know, if you look from the outside, you don't know how precious this horrible life is for this person. It's what they needed. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and you know, thank you for saying that, because I've known a few people who've passed on by their own, you know, way. And the first time it happened, a lot of people in our community were like, I can't believe she did that. She had kids. And it was unsure whether it was definitely suicide or accident, but the feeling was it was. And I remember thinking, I mean, I'd been sectioned. This was only a few years after I'd come out. And I thought, God, aren't you lucky that you never have had to contemplate it? Because in my life, I have contemplated it. Oh my God, so many times. But because I know of the other side, I've always thought, well, there's no point. I'll get there and I'll be like, damn it, I cheated or something. So it's always a bit of a cosmic joke for me, but it doesn't mean I haven't felt like I am so desperately unhappy or feeling so alone. Certainly before I started really writing and having that way to express what was in, you know, locked inside me, and feeling like no one around me, it was just like I'm talking in a strange language to them. They, you know, they just wanted to lock me up and shut me up, you know. So yeah, it just really is a profound thing to just trust, and not also not carry any guilt if you do have a family member or a loved one passing in that way or anyway, because they are continuing their journey. They will have the support, they will have the healing. It's not like you're going to be stuck in purgatory or hell, right? There's always angels. And if you're worried about that, actually, just to say, you can make a prayer. You can ask the angels to come in and support that person to move over. You know, I've done that with clients before now, and the spirit was actually waiting for them to have a message. And then then they're like, okay, yeah, I can go now, but it's not that that's it. They're doomed because they made that choice. And as you said, we just don't know what's going on in someone's inner world. So yeah, thank you.
You're
Yeah,
so welcome.
yeah.
So do you feel like it would be appropriate for me to, guide the how to energetically do a cord release, or shall we leave that for another time?
Ooh, that's exciting. It could be. How long would that be? Would that take a few moments, or is it little bit more involved, Aureya?
I would say it would probably altogether take another 10 minutes, and
I
I'm happy
think
to.
I think it could be good because if you've been watching this and you feel like there's something that's present and you're like, oh, I'd like to now move on. If we don't finish that, we're hanging. So if you're happy to, I am more than happy to, Aureya. Absolutely.
Okay, good, good. Let's do it. Okay, so a good way to basically stimulate the sides of the chakras where these all these cords are, if you want to start to uh, be able to feel them and see them, and also to not take a cord when somebody's kind of pushing at you. Will you take this cord? Because I can feel it in a second, somebody trying to cord me. And I just lovingly say to them on the inner planes, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, anyway, this is, I call this arches. And you just take energy from the earth and you bring it into a golden light, and you bring it up the sides of your legs and then up through the sides of the chakras. And you can use your hands if it helps you. And then
Mm,
you let each arch over the top of your head, maybe, 8 inches up or a foot up. And then each arch comes down
mm,
again through the
mm,
sides and
mm.
back into the earth.
Beautiful.
So if it's too hard for anyone to do both sides at once, just do one side at a time, and
Beautiful.
just do it 3 times, just golden light, kind of waking up those sides of the chakras. And then what happens is the people that you have cords with also get, some part of them knows that you're stimulating that chakra or that agreement that you have with them,
Mhm,
that relationship cord, and they get more awake to it. And then you can start to do the talking to them inwardly and telling them it's your time to go through awakening and enlightenment,
mhm,
and that you would like to thank them and complete. So,
mhm,
anyway, that's called the arches. Then we're going to do something called the voiding spiral that gets the body ready to energetically release things that you don't need. So we're going to do the palate point again, putting the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, sliding it back about as far as it goes comfortably, and then bringing blue light. Blue is the most expansive color, down through the top of the head into that little palate point. 3 breaths of blue. And then relax your tongue. And then now for 3 breaths, we're going to breathe in to that point, and then we're going to go further with that blue light into a spiral down the front of the body. And you can do 2 times to the belly button. That belly button is an emotional integration point. So it says, hey, we're getting the waters of the emotion stimulated to just flow, to release things. Yeah, good. And then we'll do a couple more. Breathe again down through the top of the head to the palate point, blue spiral of light now down to the pubic bone. So that is the root chakra that stimulates the opening of the legs to release things down and out. and to, of course, receive from the earth again. Okay, yeah. So we've got the system now set up to release, and that also sets up the physical body to release more. So you may end up having to go to the bathroom.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So now we're going to do the speaking to the person. You just think of them as their higher self. You go to your heart and you say to them, we've had an agreement, we've had an exchange of energy, and at this time, I want to thank you for this uh, learning contract and everything I've learned from it. And now it's my time to complete this agreement and to take my energy back to myself. And I wish you absolute beauty and wholeness for yourself. So sometimes you have to, talk to the person several times before you just have a feeling that they're, on the same page as you. Um, but anyway, now we're going to do the actual chant and technique. And if you are really, really ready to complete this and you want this light to affect the other person, you're going to send this energy that of this chant into the cord. But if you do not want to finish it and you really just want to get more conscious for yourself, you're going to keep all the energy of this chant in your own system.
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So the chant, I'm going to say it, is Huma. So the whom is like I am here. And it's said in your center channel, in the center of the chakra, if you know which chakra you're working with, but you don't have to. So whom is in you. And then the ah is an expansive sound, and that gets sent out into the contract, into the cord, and it expands it and stimulates the learning. And then om is the sound of unity, and gratitude brings you back to unity. So when we are in the om, it really is saying, um, I'm acknowledging that you are whole and I am whole already. Okay, so we're going to do this Huma Om now 3 times in the color gold or gold and silver, because those metallic colors speed up light. It's like electricity. And then we'll do 3 times in the green, which is the heart, which is thank you. Okay, so decide if you're going to send the light out into this cord or just keep it in yourself. And then take a breath. Good. And again in gold. And one more time, gold or silver. Okay, so now breathe normally. Feel again your gratitude and your feeling of I'm done. I really am ready to take all my energy back. Okay, we're going to do this chant one more time in green. Take a breath. Ooh, ma. And again, green light and gratitude. Ooh, and one last time. Uma. And breathe normally. And just imagine that all of your own energy is coming back into your core, into your sushumna, and you're using the earth energy and the spirit light to really integrate. You can always use the mantra I am to help you have that feeling of wholeness unto yourself. Mm, good. So 3 more breaths, and then there's one more part. Good. So again, this is called the squeegee. I made it up, but it really works. Um, and again, if you don't want to affect the other person, do not do this.
Okay.
Okay. So what this is it's like a toothpaste tube that you're imagining that you're taking it from your end of the cord and you're squeezing along the tube and you're dropping all the light that is presently in it into their sushumna, into their core.
Okay.
And what that does is all the light, which is really information, lessons, understanding, will go into them. You're going to do it 3 times. And how they will feel is they'll like, oh, yeah, that relationship. Let me think more about that. Oh, I think I'm done. I think I have enough energy about it, and I don't need to keep reaching out to this person. So they'll feel more full, and it will give you an expanse of time where you don't have that cord attached, and you'll get to feel what it's like to be singular. And then one of the other of you might feel is starting to attach again, starting to reach for the other person. Then you do the squeegee again, or you do the huma om again. Yeah. So if you're ready to do it, I'm holding space for you. Just go ahead and do that squeegee again with gratitude. Here's all the light that we've been sharing. Please have my blessings to learn your lessons. Good. And when you feel done with that, thank them one more time and then really come back and really this time pull all of your light in and, talk to yourself. Like, I like this feeling of not being on a tether with somebody else's karma. Really ready to teach myself through spirit anything I need to learn, as opposed to creating drama trauma through these cords. I'm whole and I want to experience that.
Mm, mm, mm.
Very good. And thank yourself for the time that you just spent learning and growing.
Mm.
And aho.
Aho. Wow, that's just so, so beautiful. Because I have often found when people talk about cutting cords, it can be very surgical and not like realizing why they happened in the first place. Like, oh, just be gone, like just be gone, stupid person or something, And it's like, actually think, why is that happening? Why? There must be a reason we attract it. And people then say, oh, if you don't heal, you'll attract the same situation. And it's not because you're a fool, it's because you just didn't learn a thing. And that's okay. That's just okay. We don't get taught that we're in soul school when we're in school, So yeah, Yeah, amazing. I could really feel the peace. I could feel myself thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I should do that, like giving them their back that really, because when we're doing that, we're giving them back the responsibility and
For
we're
themselves
for
only.
themselves. Yeah, not us, but for them. And then, and with the particular person I was working on, I know that that person has said to me, well, you did this and then it made that all happen. And I'm like, I knew. It's like, that's because you're triggered. That's not, I'm not on purpose in any way, putting anything on you. I just was me and you don't like that. So it's like, it's not my responsibility to then keep changing, which is what the this some of the energy felt like. So I could feel a resistance, but when I did, it was like, oh God, that's better. I could feel the release. um so yeah, there we go. I did have one question, if I can ask, that came up, Aureya. As I just said, sometimes there's this, there's all the memes saying, oh, if you don't learn the lesson, you'll do it again. So you know, given when we're doing these, it's very important to just trust our intuition and, check within. And it might not be time. It might be time, we've got something to learn, or we're still learning from this connection, and there's no judgment there at all. Um, but is it possible? So if I did that squeezy, and actually it was too soon. I mean, is that a thing? And then you do reconnect because you're just going to keep learning again, and that's okay, right? No judgment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. No judgment.
Yeah. And do you
And
know what's go on, go on, go.
I was going to say, for example, we have cords with our children
Sure.
usually, and you don't want to finish those, just so you don't have cords. If you have children, you're teaching them what it's like to be human. You're sharing with them. Usually one parent has the grounding cord, the parent that is the most soul related to that child usually has the grounding cord, and then the other parent, if there is one, has the second chakra cord, which is teaching about emotion. And
Right.
so, we would really have to check, what's the right timing to complete a chord. And usually the children will let you know in pubescence or during their teens as they start to shove you out and do character assassination on you, etc. And then that would be a good time to have a session with me to help you complete the chord.
Oh God, that just makes so much sense, because it is, isn't it? We like pretty much everyone has done that, pushing the boundaries. You've got to cut your own cloth. And then what I saw in my family, I did, and it was like, whoa, whoa, well, what are you doing? And I'm looking at my parents going, you both did that. You're really independent. They both were bikers, right? They were motorcyclists, and they would go off. And my dad was in the Navy for a few years, so he would travel. Why are you surprised that I just went off and changed? Like I went to university and you're like suddenly surprised and offended because I grew dreadlocks and started talking about spiritual things and philosophy, and but I can see what happened for me. The people please went, oh, sorry, don't feel secure anymore, and it really, created a lot of kind of fractions. So yeah, very funny to think about it in those ways. So good to know. Good to know. And I guess the thing is, it isn't. And again, I've heard this. If the simplistic, just cut it with the flame of Archangel Michael. It doesn't mean they're not in your life. That it's just in a very different way because you're living as sovereign beings, and you just in acceptance of this weaving path, rather than, oh, I need to, I don't want to, and all of that grappling that can, and we can feel
Yeah.
it. Like you said, I don't necessarily see it inside, but I can certainly feel it. If somebody says to me, but you're a really good friend, I'm like, whoa. But I have seen that as a mirror, as a child part comes up going, oh, but don't leave me. And it's like, oh no, come back because you're fine. You're not a child, you're an adult, and you can let them go. So yeah, it works both ways, doesn't it? Until you're really stabilized in your sovereignty, really.
Yes. So I want to say that cutting the cord in a non-relational way does not work.
Right.
It doesn't work because the contract is between two sovereign beings.
Sure. Sure.
And you can mess around thinking that you're finishing it,
Yeah.
but you know, you two agreed to learn and it needs to play out.
Sure.
And there needs to be honoring
Yeah.
and gratitude and consciousness to
Yes.
to really complete it.
And
Yes.
that's
And
where those
then
questions of sorry to talk over you there, but just the question of like what am I learning? And then it's just not about shaming or blaming yourself or the other. It's just like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, fine. Oh yeah, I can learn this now. Yeah.
yes. And then I I am a person who tends to keep my partners forever after I break up, and then I'm friends with them for another whatever until now. And so I've gotten to have the experience of having chords with people and then absolutely completing, one after another and gradually feeling like, oh, we don't need each other in that way anymore.
Sure.
And we're not partnered anymore. And what it feels like is freedom. It feels like we can totally love and celebrate that person, but we don't need anything from them.
Yes,
It
yes,
feels
yes.
lovely.
If you see them in the street, you'd just be like, "Oh my God, it's you!" But you're not needing, and you don't mind, doesn't it? Yeah, and I get you. And you know, there's what's coming to mind. I consciously uncoupled with an ex of mine, and it was beautiful. And then literally, we didn't decide it, but we just didn't talk. And I just got this inkling. I was like, I think he's probably with somebody, and I was just getting actually back with this challenging relationship. And we chatted and we were both like, yeah, and it was like, and that's fine. And that was it, and there was just so much love in our hearts because we knew when we got together, we said, we don't know if this, he was quite a bit older than me, but there was so much love in the beginning of just like, I see you as a soul and we know this is like part of our soul journey and we just don't need to be attached. We'll just keep being really real with each other. And we were, and it's just really lovely. And the conversely, I can see where that hasn't happened so easily because and I had to say to one of my exes, look, do you still think about me at a certain point, as a man might think about a woman? And he was like, I was like, you do, don't you? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, please don't, because that's not okay for me, because you're still connecting to me, and that means that I think of you and I want to move on. Another example, I had to do this, but this was across a parallel timeline from Egyptian times, and I couldn't see why I couldn't let this guy go. He'd let me go, but I was like this with him. So that took some digging around and again, I think Ben helped me with that, looking in the Akashic records. I'm like, what is it with this guy? It's like, okay, nothing happened in this life, but I could feel, there was a soul resonance there, and yeah, I had to do some digging. So, I guess I'm sharing this, viewers, because in this day and age, as we're awakening, we are connecting. To me, it's not a failing that we're having a lot of these lessons. It's because we've chosen to come in, we've chosen to learn. And some people know, like they're just living quite an easy life. It looks easy, but for them, that might be their resting life. They've just come in to like hold a steadying force for humanity while the rest of us do all our lessons. It's not about judging anybody about what it looks like. It's just about coming within, asking what I'm learning, and taking that, because that to me is part of the succor, or the manna, right, from heaven. That's the divine revelation, the direct revelation of healing and changing our perception. So, no failing, no shaming here, isn't it? It's just learning, expansion, and yeah. Yeah, God, beautiful. Oh, I could talk about this with you forever. Thank you so much, Aureya. It's been so beautiful. Um, Drawing to a close, is there a last something of advice or last something you'd like to share with our viewers before we say goodbye for the moment, Aureya?
yeah, I would just say that when you are in a time of finishing relationships and drawing into yourself, um, and you're in an ego dissolution, um, to really go to the divine for help, because it's a difficult time to not be so close to other people, and it's a lot of work. And if you need a guide, that's what I do. Is I'm an enlightenment process guide, and so is Caroline Mary. And get help and know that there's nothing wrong with you. When
Yeah.
I was in that period, I kept saying, what's wrong with me that I don't really want to be with people, or people don't like me, or what
Yeah.
is the problem? And it's I've worked with, hundreds and hundreds of people going through it, and it's classic. Everybody has to draw within and really go deep. So to not think anything's wrong with you, and let yourself be supported by mostly yourself, the divine, and you will come out feeling joy and connectedness through your heart with all of life, and you won't feel lonely anymore, and it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, do you know, thank you so much. I am never surprised at the timing of these interviews and connections, because it really has felt, so on some level I've known that process is happening for me. And then another part goes, oh no, I'm just being selfish or rude or judgment. No, no. I have a stack of, books to write and projects to finish or manage, and you just can't do it being a social butterfly, as I used to be, because I that was my way of being a light worker. In a way, I didn't know what else, and I would just give, and I'd give my time, and I'd help people, and then bit by bit I've just done this. And it's felt, oh, this is strange. So really, yeah, if you're hearing that, I am absolutely taking that on, and I'm saying, yeah, thank you. And it's not personal, it's just absolutely not personal, because when you're in that place, every single person is your brother and sister, and I've had times like that, and there's just no better or worse. You just know that the next person coming is, for whatever reason, they're showing up for another lesson maybe, or just somebody you're passing the moment with, and it just becomes, you appreciate everybody and also live and let live as well. So it's yeah, it's very liberating, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, Raya, thank you so, so very much. So, so much to you. All the
You're
wisdom.
welcome. Thank you. It's been fun.
It's been really lovely. And I really just felt to remind you, if you've stayed on this far, well done. And I'm sure you have been as interested as I have about this subject matter. Go get that book as well, because there is going to be, obviously you can read Aureya's chapter there, but there'll be so many other tools as well, and it's actually on the sale for ebook. Will be 199 in sterling. Not sure how that translates, maybe $177, maybe, I don't know how it works actually, maybe it's $199. But there'll be so much wisdom. If you're interested in what we're talking about and want to feel more into your intuition and learn more, go ahead, because those books, yes, we tell a little bit about our story, but usually it's because then it's a teaching tool, so then we can share the tools that we're working with ourselves on a daily practice, and help you on your journey. So thank you so much, and I will see you again on Ascension TV, and I'm sure we're going to have Aureya again. We've been talking about what we might share, so thank you again. So much love to you all, so many blessings, and we'll see you on another episode soon. Bye for now.